Hi, I'm Andrew, an entrepreneur and a computer science student,
Hi, I'm Vereen, a psychology major student.
and you're now listening to the Ink Thoughts podcast, where we ponder and talk about incongruous thoughts ranging from our daily life to the human mind.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Ink Thoughts podcast. Hello Andrew, how are you?
Hello, Vereen. I'm doing quite well. You know, it's a good day, but over the past week, we did another podcast because we realized that after being lazy for so long, we actually need a podcast to be uploaded like right today as we are recording right now. It was just released earlier today, but yeah, we really need to do that because I don't know, it's actually our first time that this happened. Previously, we always had backup, and even if we depleted all our backups, there's still one for that week, so we don't have to worry about it. It's only this time that we realized like, oh my god, we really have been lazy too much that this happened. I mean, because last week you're out for a holiday, that's why that's one of the reasons why this happened.
Yeah.
But over this past week, it was quite nice because I completed my exam, and then I'm now kind of like figuring out how to get jobs and stuff. And yesterday I moved into my upcoming new place, so I'm gonna stay in another place, which is where a few of my friends live as well. Quite nice, even though it's quite a tiring trip, but it was fun, you know. Under this weather, it's okay because I was like carrying two 20 kg luggage to the tram, and then I was like I had another 5 minutes walk until the house, and then I was like cleaning it up and putting everything in order. But overall, it's quite nice. But I don't know why, like recently I really have this habit of, I don't know, okay, not necessarily a habit, but previously I used to feel tired around noon, afternoon, like, how do I say it? More like evening, actually. More like evening. It's like around 5 to 4. I'm quite tired during that period, so I usually take a nap. I'm usually tempted to take a nap during that period, but recently I'm not sure if it's because of the summer where the days got longer. Now the sun rises at like 5 something and sets at like 9. So I don't know. I am very, very tired after I get the dinner. So around like 7. Yeah, usually I feel like 6, 7, something like that. I usually feel very sleepy, and then yesterday I fell into that temptation and went for a nap and woke up at like 9. And when I woke up at like almost 9, you can still see a bit of the sun there, which is quite funny, you know. It really feels like a nap, but in
I cannot imagine that.
but in fact, like in Malaysia, like it's quite stupid. It feels like you should continue to sleep until the next day already. But
Yeah, true.
yeah, that is basically what happened to me. Yeah.
So what time do you sleep at night?
But after that, because I still have things to do, which I've never done, so I kind of need to I need to replace the lost 2 hours. That's why I stayed up a bit later until like 1 a.m. to complete uploading my videos and then work on my CV and all that. Yeah. Of course, I played some games as well. Yeah. So, what about you? How was your week?
Okay, so I think after coming back from the holiday, in my work there's just sudden changes of arrangement, and then we have to like quickly adapt to the changes and all. So at like the beginning of the week is kind of stressful for us, but at the same time I feel I have a feeling like I'm very stressed, but I know it's not just because of work. So I think a bit more and realize that okay, part of it is because of my work, and then part of it is actually all the other processes which I've talked about it during our last episode, which has been released today. So yeah, if you are interested, go check it out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, actually, okay. It's a bit funny because when you say today, it sounds today, but then to the audience, it will be next week. So it's a previous episode that we released, but
so like yeah. So it's the episode before, like
prior
the
to
previous
this
episode before this. Yeah. So everything is still okay. But yesterday I went out and have a work session with my friend, so that works as well. I think maybe the change of environment give me some different feeling, and yeah.
Maybe, but it seems like someone, even though with a change of environment, she didn't get to get her stuff done.
I get my work done.
Yeah, you get your work done, but I mean, you have your personal stuff, which
I didn't.
which you
Yeah,
promised, which you
personal
promised
stuff
me,
I-
and you didn't get it done. And I was like, okay, it's quite funny when I heard that. You know, a change of environment actually helps. Yeah, it helped, I guess, but she never get her stuff done. That's why I don't know. I felt like an invigilator trying to just staring at her, trying to force her to get her job done at the end of the night. It was really funny.
Okay, well, everything is done now.
Yeah, I mean it helped, right? Isn't it? I mean it's not the best thing that you would like to face, but in the end we still got it done, which is nice. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, if you want someone that can look at you and ask you to do something, you can find Andrew, because
No, I
Andrew
don't do it
just
to
gives you
everyone.
some feeling of stress, because yeah, he just look fierce, and the way he speak also, yeah.
I don't do it to everyone. I only do it to you. You should appreciate because you're my girlfriend. That's why I do it to you. I don't do it to everyone. Not everyone get this privilege just because they want it.
Okay, fine. I think that's all for our updates.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
Okay,
much
so
update
what are
as
we
well.
going to talk about today?
Alright, so today we have an interesting topic by me actually. So I guess it's I don't know, I'm not sure what is everyone's opinion on this, but it just seems like maybe during our youth or something, it's always encouraged by teachers or like parents that we need to read news on this, you know, we need to get to know what's happening around the world, you know, that's we need to get ourselves updated, and like that is somehow some kind of knowledge that we should possess as well. Okay, so that's why we are convinced to do that. But as we grew older, or even people who sometimes we listen to advice and all that, productivity advice, I don't know, entrepreneurship advice, all this kind of stuff, it seemed like reading news isn't that good after all. They say that it's actually a form of distraction, you know, it is wasting your time and all that, because I mean, we have to acknowledge that the newspaper or news industry is basically a business as well. They try to earn money. Of course, they are not doing charitable work. They are not just providing information to the world for free. So they do need to make sure that more people look at their news so that they can sell this data to the advertiser, where they actually get people to advertise on their place, and then that's where they get money. So of course, they are trying to contribute like updates around the world, but at the same time, in order to get work, they have to do like YouTuber. It's actually quite similar to YouTuber, whereby like all YouTubers, I believe, try to aim to provide value to their audience. But at the same time, in order to make sure that people will watch their videos, they have to have like what's that word called? I forgot. Clickbaity titles and all that, and, you know, thumbnails and all that, so people will get attracted to it. So it's kind of like the same thing. So in this episode, we want to discuss: should we actually read news daily? So yes, what do you think of this?
Actually, for me, I've never really thought of like what you've been saying, like those media, they are trying to, you know, provide some good value, so-called value to those company for advertisement and all. Yeah, until you mentioned it, then only I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's true.
Actually, I mean, I never thought of that. I mean, I knew that their source of revenue is not us. Instead, it's actually advertisement. It's only like closer to this few years where there's like membership content and all this. Then it kind of like the revenue started coming from the audience. But prior to that, I first realized this bit when I found out that, I don't know, like most of the self-help books say that, you know, you shouldn't read the news. Yeah, you should like, it's more like a form of distraction, and then it's not that important to know what's actually happening around the world. It's more important to know what's happening within you, something like that. That's where I start thinking like, okay, so people not recommending us to read the news, and that's where I realized that, okay, so it kind of makes sense now because they are actually just trying to get our attention, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. It actually makes sense, but I'm thinking, is it really that we shouldn't know what is happening around the world? Then isn't it that we will only be doing what is within... Wait. I suddenly cannot speak English. What is within what we know?
Yeah, I mean it's true. When we talk back to what is around the world. I mean, humans are communal beings, so we need to know what's happening within our community and all that. But sometimes it is, when you think about it, it kind of makes sense because when we look at news, it's more like a macro level of things. It's more like a macro level of things, which, like, example, Ukraine and Russia war, and then we have like then the global inflation and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is that, I mean, of course, it's helpful that we know what is happening, but I don't know. I mean, is it that important to know it? It is quite interesting to think about this because, of course, we need to have empathy and all this, thinking about like, what happened with what has resulted because of the Ukraine and Russian war, and then of course global inflation is definitely making everyone's life harder. But the thing is, it's worth empathizing on all these kind of topics, but what do you learn from it? Do you actually learn something from it? It seems like a history book that keeps on repeating. So it's like, oh no, you know what is happening now, but you don't really learn anything from it. It's not like something new. It's just like, oh, okay, it happened again. So yeah, like that is what I kind of get from it when I kind of got enlightened by all those books, self-help books, when they talk about why. Because sometimes it's just about topics that's not that interesting, like example, in Malaysia we talk about how our ex-prime minister, what would he has talked about, and then he now has a new wife and all that, and then we talk about, so what kind of new policy they're trying to implement, when are they gonna have all this kind of election. When we look at all this kind of stuff, it makes like, it's important to know what is happening, but then it doesn't seem like we're actually getting any value out of it other than we know what is happening. Isn't it?
Okay, true. I get your point. So I'm actually thinking, maybe we don't need to consume all the content that the news industry is providing us. Instead, we just catch up with it once in a while. Like, for example, the first time when we know about Ukraine and Russia war thing. So we doesn't need to keep following it, but at least we know what is happening. And sometimes with all this, like, we know a bit of what is happening around the world. It gives us a chance to reflect on ourselves as well. Like when you say empathy, of course, it kind of connect with what is inside you in order for you to empathize with people.
Okay. So, I don't know, but I mean, our topic today is, should we read news daily? You kind of just imply the answer. So would you say that we just shouldn't read it daily or something like that?
Yeah, I think maybe not daily, but anyhow, I think we still need to read, but maybe not daily.
Okay. I mean, I quite agree with that, but yeah. But how would you recommend then in that case, how would you recommend, like, how to consume, at least in your mind? Like, do you actually one question, do you actually read news daily?
Before I started working, yes. Like during okay, actually the habit started during MCO. I mean, yeah, the lockdown period.
COVID, when we're trying to check out like how many cases a day, something like that, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing that makes me started to read news daily. So at the same time, I read about other stuff as well. Yeah, since I already click into it. Yeah. So so that habit, actually, I think I have it for like one year plus 2 years until I started working there. I don't have that much of time, so I don't read that much. So once in a while when I remember, then I go and check it out, and yeah. So or sometimes when there's no notification that pop up telling me something that I think is something quite big happening somewhere else in the world, then I click it and check it out. Okay, apparently this thing is happening, which I don't know.
Okay. But how often do you get those notifications? I mean, at least for me, like I if I do look at my phone right now, I mean, I have one notification about the news right now talking about Australia election. But if I look at it, I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a total of 5 news apps on my phone. Yeah. So, and from them, I can say that I get about average 5 notifications from them, from each app. So, like, yeah, I just want to ask, how many notifications do you get?
1.
Oh, you just get 1 per day? Average?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Because
What app
I
do you use?
I didn't download any apps. That's why.
Okay, never mind. Okay. All right. I guess we're in a bit different perspective then. But yeah, like, cause the thing, when I talk about, like, I mean, I don't know, but cause the way I read news is that I'm quite updated on Malaysian news because I already have this habit of going to Sinshu to see what's happening in Malaysia. But other than that, UK news, usually I have BBC, Daily Mail, and The Sun to kind of got me covered. Even though I have to say most of the time, news from The Sun and Daily Mail is quite useless because they're all tabloids. So usually I just swipe it away. They talk about, like, how this celebrity did something like that. It's only BBC which is kind of useful content. But I do agree that yeah, I'm not sure, but I don't have the habit of scrolling through Bloomberg and BBC every day. But I think that's the habit that I should have, because I at least for Sinshu, I already have this habit, which I think I kind of have to. I have to find a way to remove this habit, because it's kind of taking a lot of my time. Because every time when I go onto it, I get an average. I'll basically get updated 6 updated news. That's why within this, there's definitely something that interests me, and therefore I'll click into it, and I would spend my time, or sometimes depending on topic, I would consider it wasting my time, but it's still interesting topic. So this is something that I would like to kind of remove from my daily life. But I'll say that I think actually, even though pop-up notification is actually quite a terrible invention, it's designed to actually get our attention, and then eventually we'll click into it, waste more time on that thing. But I think for news apps, it can be, at least from reputable news apps which I recommend, such as like Bloomberg and BBC, they are actually very helpful, because usually they are not very clickbaity, the title. Unlike The Sun and Daily Mail, those are very clickbaity. Those are not something I'll recommend. I just downloaded them so that in cases like previously when there's lockdowns and everything, they usually give really, really updated, because they usually publish it before even the official announces. So they're like, there's rumors and all that. They will always post out those rumors. So that helps on getting like the latest news. But if you talk about like Bloomberg and BBC, their notifications are actually quite valuable. So the title actually isn't that clickbaity, and then it provides the necessary value for me to decide whether do I need to click into it and further read about it. So I think whereas I think clicking into a website, that shouldn't be a habit, because on the website there is just too much information, and of course we can't blame them because it is their business to do this, whereby they need to get our attention and all this. That's why there is definitely something that interests you, and then you click into it and eventually spend more time on that website. Yeah, so if it's for me, I wouldn't read news. I would say that I get myself updated with news every day through like notification and all that, but I wouldn't recommend everyone to just like spend 1 hour per day sitting there and read news and all that, because I don't know, I don't find that valuable anymore. And I think I was reading 4-Hour Work Week or something, and then he even said that you don't even need to buy a newspaper, read any news or something. You just need to, if you really want to know what is happening around the world, you can just go to a coffee shop, ask someone that's beside you, sitting next to you, and then be like, so yeah, just ask if anything is happening. Yeah. Or even like better, if you really need the newspaper, you can easily just go to someone with newspaper, like, oh, if you're done reading it, can you like maybe lend me a moment? I just want to catch up with what's happening around the world, something like that. So it's not something that we should use it as a book where we are expected to fully consume it. We should just like get brief notification updates. That's what I think about news. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, just now I thought of one thing. I actually downloaded BBC.
Oh yeah, BBC.
App
Yeah,
on
that's
my
nice.
iPad.
Oh, on iPad. Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't even talked about my iPad. But okay, I think you should go on first. You should go on first. I shouldn't interrupt you.
Okay. So I actually didn't make the notification thing. I mean I didn't on it because of you. I saw how many notifications you're getting every day last time. So yeah. So the moment that I downloaded it, I decided not to on the notification for the news app. So whenever I want to read it, then I go in and see if there's anything that interests me. If no, then I come out. If yes, then I read about it. And also maybe because of my work, I need to at least catch up with a bit of things that are happening in different parts of the world sometimes. So once in a while, I'll go in and read about those related ones with my work. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But it's quite an interesting history whereby with my iPad, I actually, let me check how many news related apps I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have a total of 20 apps, which is not a good idea. I mean, back then, the reason why I had this is because that time I was interested in something called Forex. So Forex exchange and all that. And then they always say that, doing Forex, you need to know macro and economic news and all that. You need to know what's happening around the world, something like that. That's why it's recommended that you read news and something like that. And of course, at that time, it's actually just 2 years ago, I'm still quite convinced that news is quite important, and then I should actively have this habit to read news, know what's happening. But you can't, the thing about reading news is that you can't just focus on one news source, because if you just focus on BBC, it'll be, even though they are all supposed to be neutral, it could be sided towards UK or towards the UK, EU, US side of things. And if you read of course, China news, definitely it will all be China's perspective. That's why I have different. I have a few apps from the US. I have a few apps from China, one from Hong Kong, and then there's one from the Middle East. And I think others I'm not sure, and a few which are new startup news agency and all that. So that's why I use that. But of course, that's definitely a terrible idea, because even by today I have to delete them. So on my notification screen, I just never cleared my. I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure if this is a habit of Apple user. I feel like you guys just get a bit too much notification that you guys don't care to clear them. Is it true? That's why now, even though you're using Android, you don't clear them. Because on my iPad, I wouldn't clear them as well. I just leave them there. And the thing about, I don't know, their news just gets stacked up, it just gets stacked up. On my Android, I'll always clear them. But yeah, but my iPad, I just leave it there. I don't know.
I mean, when I was still using iPhone, I rarely clear everything off. But now with Android, sometimes I do, because it just looked too much, and I feel like, oh my god, so overwhelming.
Yeah, right. I guess the design is a bit different, whereby Android recommend you to clear the unessential ones, which is I personally think it's a good thing, because I believe through iPad you just miss out a lot of stuff. right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so yeah,
Mm.
but definitely I wouldn't recommend people reading news and all that. Spending too much time on news, but depends on you. Maybe your work requires it, but personally, I would say that you just need a few updates or even just ask around for news for what's happening, and that should be sufficient because
But I feel like I hope the audience don't get this wrong. Like we are not saying that you just focus on yourself and the rest of the world is not important, because anyhow it
yeah,
still will affect you in certain ways. So you still need to know a bit.
exactly.
It's not like you just focus on you yourself and the rest of the world is just nothing.
Yes, yeah. Definitely, yeah. I mean, like, because it's more like the thing that there's just too much happening around the world, and then you obviously can't grasp everything. You can't try to know what's happening every time. So we basically we have limited attention, we have limited amount of energy, so we have to be realistic and choose what we actually care about. And in this case, if we consider something that provides more value to us, then we shouldn't read all of them. We should probably just care about what's happening. And but I would say that recently, when with more agency providing like subscription and all this, they do provide better, more neutral and more valuable content where you actually can learn from. That is actually a good sign, where those actually makes all those news or like information more valuable and more worthy to be read. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, I don't know. The thing, I mean, like, no, actually, it just makes it more like a book lah. So in those cases, those are okay, I'll say. But personally, I still prefer reading books and something like that.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and sometimes actually in my work, sometimes we do encourage patients not to read the news or limit their time for news reading, because that just affect
Oh,
them too much.
okay. Okay. I get it. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
So because since if you know this will, I feel like if you know this thing will affect you, maybe mentally, or even it's just like making you procrastinate too much because you just use up all your time reading news without doing any other stuff, then if you know about it, then try not to. But if it's not affecting you and everything just work fine for you and you want to read about it, then I feel like okay, then you just go on.
All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's true. All right. Anything else that you would like to add?
Mm, no. Oh, okay. I just think of one fun thing about reading news. Do you still
Okay.
remember during our like primary school time, we are always being encouraged to read news. They tell us that it will help with our essay writing skills, something like this.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. There's
Yeah.
something like this. Yeah.
But because during my secondary school, I think Form 4 year, I actually joined one of the organization out there by Sinchu. And so during our training, the person in charge actually tells no, because we use the most precise word, we won't elaborate that much on like describing the stuff and all, unlike you writing an
Exactly.
essay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. Yeah. So these are more like work level stuff, whereas our essay writing is more like creative level stuff where
Mm.
yeah we do it's we can express freely, but when we talk about like news level stuff, they are more specific into what they actually need, what they actually require and all that.
Yeah, true. But
Yeah.
when I think about like secondary school essay requirement, sometimes I do think that keeping up with news is kind of important, but not like the most important thing, because sometimes because it's more like an argument essay instead of like talking about story most of the time. So sometimes some of
Mm.
these facts might be helpful for you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Then I think that's all
Mm.
from me.
All right. Okay. Actually, that's all from me as well. Basically, we wouldn't recommend people just read news daily, but getting updates is required, because if we talk about the full content of the news, it's usually less helpful. It's not that valuable. It just provides, it's literally just an update, and then you really can't learn much from it. Yeah. So, wouldn't recommend reading news daily. But yes, do you have any insights that you would like to share?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. Actually, I have one. Ooh, surprisingly, after a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the thing is, because because over the past few weeks, you've been working on your university postgraduate application, and then one of your friends is doing so as well, and then you talked about how you guys need a reference letter from your like previous lectures and all that. So, and then you guys, your friend, you send to those that you think you're closer with, because it's it's better this way, and then your friend hasn't actually sent any. Has she sent any by now?
Yes, after that she sent.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I'm just thinking, like, it kind of makes sense. Obviously, it makes sense for us to not send to those lectures that we're not that close with, we don't really know that well. But actually, sometimes I believe it's okay to do that, because the reason being, when we think that we shouldn't send it to them because we're not close to them or something, so that is the reason for us to not send to them. But the thing is, if you actually do ask, let's say, a reference letter from them nicely and all that, it's actually okay. Because the thing is that even though you're not nice, but the thing is that you're not even though you're not nice, even though you guys are not that close, you don't really know each other that well, but the reason that you're being so nice, it's okay enough for you to request something from it. Yeah, whether it might be something that's not commonly done, but it's okay to just try it, because you being that nice has already given them no reason to reject you. Yeah. Because you're not being rude or something, just requesting something for no reason. You're being nice, and you're not actually forcing them to do it. So of course they still can reject it, but they wouldn't reject you for no reason. So they just can't say that, no, why should I help you, or something like that. They will clearly give you a reason, like oh, okay, I can't really give you this because what, because maybe I don't have much experience with you or something like that. But at least it's a reasonable excuse, not excuse, a reasonable reason, something like that. Yeah, so I guess we can do a lot of all this stuff. Yeah, that's what I want to say. I'm not sure if I conveyed it clearly. I hope I did.
I think it's pretty clear.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, then I guess that's the end of this episode today. Thank you everyone for listening, and if you have any comments or anything that you'd like to share with us, feel free to do so. You can drop us a message to any of our social media account, or even email it to us, and we'll see you next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed, do share with your friends and family and leave us a review on the Apple Podcast. If you're not using an Apple device, you can leave a review on the Apple Podcast website with the link in the show notes. If you have any feedback or thoughts which you hope that we'll discuss in the future, feel free to email them to us at hello@incthoughts.com, or alternatively, you can send us a private message on our Facebook, Instagram or Twitter with the username of incthoughtspod. Thanks again, and see you all next week. Bye bye.